without any of those in balance, we cannot make decisions.
Io vedo quella di andare a togliere in mezzo la minaccia incombente, che è quella dei vaccini mRNA offerti a tutta la popolazione del mondo e ne possono anche trarre i peggiori danni, e adesso si parla anche di autoreplicanti.
To people who experience severe harm. Now, it has been said that these vaccines reduce transmission and thereby infection, but Austria has shown how, with 1 million Austrians who were analysed, with subjects of 4 doses, over an 8-month period, were 7.3 times more likely to get infected than those who weren't. So this means that we're seeing a fall in consumer confidence, and we're also seeing an increase in mortality. We are seeing adverse effects, and unfortunately, total mortality has increased. But we can only understand this by giving credit to observational studies that use real data on 2 conditions. The data must include mortality by vaccines. Very few countries publish that data, and very often they stop publishing that data. And the second condition is that systematic errors need to be corrected, because we can all understand that these errors occur, but this is forgotten by a lot of epidemiologists. There are the 4 main principal errors, and we would be very pleased to be able to correct those errors, and in doing so, we can help change public opinion, thinking that vaccines reduce infection rather than the opposite way around. Thank you.
We definitely will have doctors' conferences where we absolutely address those topics. Our next speaker is Scott Tibbs.
Thank you. I'm Scott Tibbs. I'm an attorney. Thank you, Dr. Maria. I'm Scott Tibbs. I'm an attorney at law, have been for 45 years, and I'm the president of the National Health Federation, the world's oldest health freedom organization. And I'm here to thank everyone for their presence and their contributions, and NHF and its sister organizations, NHF Sweden and NHF Germany, join in. I'm reminded of something that an American comedian and filmmaker said once about 50 years ago. He said, "I'm not afraid of death. I just don't want to be there when it happens." And so I think with us, it may seem like it's a very strange quote for this group, but we don't want to be there when it happens, and we want to make sure to delay it as much as we can. And we do that through better living, through better food, better nutrition, better sanitation, all of those things. And we do it also by avoiding certain dangerous medications, vaccines, and the like. But one thing we need to keep in mind, and it's really important for this group, is the impact, the importance of Codex Alimentarius and its commission. And the NHF has been fortunate enough for years now to have an accredited INGO status with this group. And we've worked closely on certain issues with the EU delegation in order to fight toxic chemicals that go into our food, glyphosate, Roundup, all sorts of ingredients in our foods like aspartame, melamine residues and vet drug residues that go into meats and the like, but it's been a pretty lonely battle for the 25 years I've been fighting it, at least. But it's important to know that, for those of you who don't, that Codex Alimentarius creates global food standards can very easily overwhelm even the healthiest of food regulations that you are able to obtain here in the European Union. So you could get the healthiest food regulations under the EU statutes, and it won't mean a thing because the EU has agreed to harmonize its food standards to those of Codex. And just like the United States is committed to that. So it could easily overwhelm your work here unless you pay attention to Codex Alimentarius. So if we want to make Europe healthy again, I think MIHA needs to take into account the work being done at Codex. And I really invite everyone here to consult with me, or at least approach me. And we have meetings coming up and the like. And I would really like to see some impact on the EU Codex office here in Brussels, where there are people who are well-meaning because they do follow the precautionary principle here. So NHF and the EU delegation is often fought side by side at Codex, but it's really not enough. The EU delegation doesn't have the backbone to stand up to the new world, literally from Canada down to Chile and Argentina, and to fight this to a conclusion, and they give up way too easily. So we need people here to put some stiffening into the backbone of the EU delegation.
Thank you so much. We will definitely have joint efforts on this. Thank you. Our next speaker is somebody from the UK, and this will perfectly add up with Reggie Littlejohn's statement. It is about digital ID, and I want to ask Montgomery Toms, also a young, wonderful man who stands for freedom, and thank you so much because you influence young people to do you alike, so thank you for being here.
Oh, no, thank you for having me, and I try my best. But yeah, no, just on digital ID, so of course we've had people reference already that we've got digital ID coming to the UK, or hopefully not. But I just want to kind of throw our minds back to lockdown, because that's why we're here, really. That was the beginning of the terrible precedent that has been set. We saw vaccine passports, obviously internationally, and this is what set the precedent for digital IDs in the UK. It's going from bad to worse, really, because once digital IDs are implemented, we're going to be tracked, monitored, surveilled. We're going to have our rights and liberties further removed, and ultimately, as a young person, I'll keep this very short. You know, when I was 14, lockdown hit, I was kind of like, I went through puberty whilst being sort of locked down, not that I really observed it very much, but nevertheless, I sort of grew into an authoritarian climate where I see it as a responsibility, not just for young people, but for everyone to fight for freedom, liberty, and also justice. And digital ID, I do believe we can stop it. I do believe it will be stopped, because quite simply, there's not enough space in the UK prisons, and you'll have to find me in there, because I will never have one. And I hope everyone will join me in mass non-compliance and say, no, we don't want it, and in the wise words of Winston Churchill, we will never surrender. Yes, we can.
Next, Reggie Littlejohn, lawyer from the USA. Thank you.
Esteemed colleagues and members of the European Parliament, I am Reggie Littlejohn. I am an attorney from the United States. I come to you as the founder and president of Anti-Globalist International, co-founder of the Sovereignty Coalition, co-founder of the Stop Vaccine Passports Task Force. Can the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty and amended international regulations usher in an era of chronic lab leaks, terrorist attacks, digital surveillance, and a Chinese-style social credit system? A number of people have said today that we need to come out from under the boot of the World Health Organization strategy to do that. The World Health Perhaps the most chilling aspect of the pandemic treaty that passed the World Health Organization in May of 2025 is the Pathogen Access and Benefit Sharing System, the PABS system, to, quote, promote the rapid and timely sharing of materials and sequence information on pathogens with pandemic potential. This system will concentrate all of the world's most deadly pathogens into the hands of unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats under the influence of the pharmaceutical industry. The WHO will then share them with labs, ostensibly to vaccines, diagnostics, and other therapeutics. The sharing of these pathogens will greatly increase the chances of lab leaks and also the potential for bioterrorist attacks. Further, there is no language in the pandemic treaty limiting dangerous gain-of-function research. So labs all over the world could experiment on pathogens with pandemic potential to make them more transmissible and more lethal. In what way does this serve the health of humanity? It is concerning that the details of how this system will work is not in the pandemic treaty itself. It has been reserved to an annex, which is still being negotiated, and they have not submitted an updated draft. So, furthermore, the treaty requires nations, quote, to prevent misinformation and disinformation. That's worse than censoring it. It's to prevent it. So prevent, for example, even this conference from happening. And they don't define misinformation, but if you look back to COVID-19, means is basically dissenting opinions, and also anything that would cause vaccine hesitancy, as we discussed before. International health regulations require international health documents. Many of these will be digital. These digital health documents, I would argue, are just a precursor to the World Economic Forum's digital ID, where they say that basically you will need a digital ID to access healthcare insurance and treatment, open a bank account, carry out online transactions, travel, access humanitarian services, shop, conduct business transactions online, participate in social media, pay taxes, vote, collect government benefits, and own a communications device such as a cell phone or a laptop. Basically, these digital IDs we will be required to have them and to be in good standing just to access any part of life. Therefore, what's the strategy? Okay, I will wrap it up. The PABS system has not passed yet. It has not come to a vote. So if countries vote against this pathogen access and benefit sharing system, then it will not be implemented. And furthermore, the pandemic treaty itself will not be voted upon until the annex has passed. So if you want to oppose these, please talk to me after this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have awesome lawyers, awesome scientists, doctors of the movement from all across the world here. I ask the following speakers, please probably do 90 seconds. I know it's hard if you have to cut your prepared statements. I just ask you to do so we can hear all of the remaining speakers. Thank you so much for that. And to follow up with, I think it makes a lot of sense to hear our amazing friend, lawyer Philipp Kruse from Switzerland.
Thank you very much, Maria, and thank you very much for the distinguished guests, and most notably to Dr. Rod Malone and Asim Malhotra for your outstanding and inspiring speeches. After having led many court proceedings in Switzerland as a Swiss lawyer against harmful and unconstitutional corona mandates in Switzerland, after having represented individuals in courts for compensations for their heavy injuries from mRNA, and having initiated the major criminal court proceeding against Swissmedic, our Swiss medical safety agency. Still, any results with respect to justice remain to be seen. And we can only ask the question, why does this happen? My personal takeaway from over 3 years of hard work, and I'm certainly not the only one who has worked many months and years for free, is the following. We see that from all of these attempts and legal court procedures, we can see the lesson learned and the takeaway as follows. Still today, in all involved courts, all involved health authorities, certainly in Europe, they put their governments still today in all of their deceptive information policies, in their wrong decision-making, and most of all in their totally illegal authorizations of the mRNA products that were granted in Switzerland by the medical safety agencies. So there is still no justice done, no lesson learned in our official world in Europe. So what do we do about that? Well, first I wanted, when I came here, ask the question to the MAHA team, to Dr. Robert Malone. Is there any hope coming from the United States, where so many positive signals have come from, and most notably on the 20th of January, the declaration of the President Trump to exit the WHO, and many further steps. And now from today's event, I can derive hope. It will be from Europe. We will take our destiny in our own hands. We will make sure that everybody can see what the true effect of WHO was and the true effect of the industry after so many proceedings have resulted in the authorities claiming that WHO was setting the gold standards. So I look forward to contribute together with the MEHA movement all of my experience, all of my investigations I have done against the WHO, and let's therefore together make Europe healthy again. And yes, I agree, we'll never give up. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is from Croatia. Andrija Glarovic, please. A short statement to what makes Europe healthy again from the perspective of somebody from Croatia. Thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you for the invitation. Well, I'm a little surprised because I didn't expect it that you called me, but thank you. It's a really huge honor to be here, especially when I'm coming from this small country like Croatia. I became journalist in the last few years, and for 35 years I'm a multiple entrepreneur, and I became journalist because I think that it was necessary to speak the truth. The biggest fight was for information and for truth last 5 years, and that's how I became now professional journalist, not only not only as a entrepreneur, as someone who is seeking the truth. And I think that was the biggest threat from all around the world, and especially in Europe today, because we are facing that, unfortunately, European policy is going to our freedom of speech and freedom of thinking. And that's why it's very important to address this and to talk about this here, because this is the center of Europe for now, but I think that has to become again a center of free speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our next speaker is David Bell.
Thank you. I'm Dave Bell, public health physician. I'm here from the US on behalf of Brownstone and the International Health Reform Project. The last few years of All of us, the corruption of international public health, commercial interests have replaced research with modelling, empirical data with groupthink, trampled on human rights and fundamental medical ethics that we all thought previously were sacrosanct. The result is global health policy based on dodgy data and false assumptions. This is well exampled by the pandemic agenda. The pandemics have not been increasing in frequency or severity, as we're constantly told. Infectious disease mortality has been consistently falling. COVID in this context stands as an outlier, but probably from a lab. Yet these increasingly rare occurrences are promoted as an existential threat, with the WHO and its partners proposing to divert tens of billions of dollars annually to address them. This will, as COVID showed, deliver massive profits for those sponsoring this agenda, but it also continue to increase widespread poverty and inequality in the global public. WHO's obsession with pandemics and profitable emergencies also comes at the cost of redirecting resources from the underlying drivers of health, like nutrition and community-centred health systems. We're seeing the inevitable outcome here of stale bureaucracies partnered with the imperative of commercial greed. We should, however, be encouraged by signs of a pushback against this administrative nanny state and the increasing reach of globalism into our state's jurisdictions, such as health. And this meeting is a good example of that, and of turning back towards a human rights-based approach. States must urgently reassert lost attributes of sovereign responsibility, allow citizens to reassert agency, and accept individual responsibility for their own lives. In international health, this means rethinking, radically reforming or replacing institutions, starting with the WHO, decentralising, removing conflict of interest, people ahead of profit.
Thank you, David, for the statement.
To ensure this meeting goes in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution from Brownstone Institute as well. Thank you. Our next speaker, and I think this is a very important topic to also bring in, and I know that he followed my ask to make 1 minute out of his speech, is a building biologist from Austria, Engineer Armin Rebernik. This is a very important topic that we definitely want to tackle as well.
Thank you very much. My name is Armin Rebernik. I'm an environmental analyst. I'm a specialist on building diagnostics and scientific-based building biology. So what I do is I go to people's homes and measure pollutants, toxins, microorganisms, electromagnetic pollution. And I do this since 20 years in Central Europe, and I have a lot of experience with this, and we as building biologists see what people are living in, what environment they are living in. And we have to understand what the environment for us is today. It's 90% of our time we spend indoors. Some people, old people, sick people, spend 100% of the time indoors. So this is our environment. It's not the nature anymore. And we cannot say that this what we are building is natural. We find up to 5,000 chemicals in the house dust. And this is what we are breathing. We have chemical gases in the air. And this all mixes up. And we have a lot of electromagnetic pollution. So therefore people have some problems, and the thing is we have this empiric knowledge also. We see when we reduce those pollutants, electromagnetic pollution, especially on the bad sides, that people become better. I have lots of clients who had like lots of doctors and like horror stories for years, and they were then therapy resistant, and most of them they said, yeah, you have psychic problems. And then you find something at home, and then you reduce it and people become better, sometimes within weeks and months. So if we want to make Europe healthy again, I think the scientific-based building biology is very important, and it's a very great thing what we are doing here together, and I want to thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Dr. Sabine Stäbel from Germany. If I kindly also may ask you, people can find your work online as well to make a short statement. I thank you so much for your work.
So my name is Dr. Sabine Stäbel. I'm an independent scientist. I did my PhD in protein optimization, which is another word for functional protein level. So what I want to talk about shortly is the safety data sheet. Did you know the what RNA products have a safety data sheet? Did any doctor read the safety safety data sheet, I just want to cite some highlights from the safety data sheet. If operating and handling conditions result in airborne exposure, which is always the case if you get rid of the air in the syringe, wear an appropriate respirator, not a mask, respirator, with a protection factor sufficient to control exposure. Particulate cartridge with a full face respirator P3 filter. Did any doctor wear this garment? Wear imperious disposable protective clothing when handling this compound. Full body protection is recommended. Or where warranted engineering controls such as a biosafety cabinet should be applied at the primary means of control of exposure. If doctors kept to these rules in the safety data sheets, I have some printouts in German if someone's interested, this platform is dead. Just keep to the rule in the safety data sheet. This product is listed as OEB 5 by Pfizer, which means highly hazardous. It's in their documents. How can this be safe? I have some of these, you can have them.
Thank you so much, Sabine. Our next speaker is Ivor Cummins from Ireland. Also, if you could shorten it a little bit more than I asked you before. Thanks.
Thanks, Maria. I'll try. So Ivor Cummins from Ireland. I'm a biochemical engineer and a kind of metabolic science specialist. I'm going to keep it simple today. In engineering, we have the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, and I think this can be done here. You might be familiar with the British term meat and 2 veg. And another term that might be useful I made up around 10 years ago is the devil's triad. So I'll just briefly go through those two. The first term, meat and 2 veg, evokes a traditional British main meal. It's got protein in the centre and 2 vegetable sides. It's a cornerstone of healthy, nutritious human food. And the meat can be any nutrient-dense animal food, any meat, any fish, or perhaps eggs. And this way of eating for humans contained no ultra-processed fake foods. If this was still the mainstay of the European diet, we would not have a need for a MIHA initiative, ironically. Now, my second term, the devil's triad, I put together a long time back. What is it? Well, it's the primary root cause of most modern chronic disease. Mainly, it's sugar, refined grains, refined wheats, and vegetable or seed oils. The triad makes up most of our modern disease-causing ultra-processed foods. It's the big problem in them, really. And these so-called foods make up most of the calories in our diets from the BMJ. They're designed to be addictive in nature. They are our problem. So to make Europe healthy again, the authorities would need to keep it across all agencies exclusively promote real ancestral nutrient-dense foods, meat, fish, eggs, vegetables, an enabler of A, support local farmers and producers in and across all European countries at all costs. B, across all agencies unite to achieve a common understanding of this simple but crucial message. Most of our supermarkets are stuffed with the devil's triad, no surprise where we are. And an important enabler of B, to finish, remove ultra-processed food corporates from all food guidelines committees, from roles in training nutritionists and medical personnel. Get them out there, destroying our health from within the system. That's a scientific fact, and you can trust that science.
Thank you so much. Next speaker from France, also Professor Christian Perron. If I also may ask you to make a very, very short statement. I know you're...
Okay. Thank you, Maria. Thank you to all of the organizers. Thank you to Robert Malone and Astin. I met them sometimes in Europe or in the United States, and you're doing a fantastic job. If you allow me, I will continue in French, so you can put your earphones. I would like to thank the MEPs here, Virginie Joron, Christine Anderson, Rob Ross, and others who I may not have mentioned. They have carried out fantastic work here in the European Parliament for several years now. They have shed light on this Parliament, both in Strasbourg as well as here in Brussels. I'm not going to go back over what has already been said by previous experts. Public health is in danger. Life expectancy and natality rates are on a downward spiral, so we need to restore public health, particularly when it comes to research and publications. We need independence of media. As was underscored earlier, medicine is not an exact science, and I completely agree that medical studies need to focus more on prevention rather than treatment. Just 2 examples. In France, with friends, I have fought for something called bonsens.org, so commonsense.org in English. This is a group presided over by Xavier, who's the director of François. This was a newspaper created in the Second World War under the French resistance. François, with other alternative media, were one of the main French media outlets carrying out resistance. And I just wanted to quote 2 examples. We fought against scientific mistakes. We've got experts that want to retract articles published in international journals. We think that's important. And then we also have a lawyer from bonsens.org who's here with us here today. We are fighting for transparency for public health data. The French government refuses.
Thank you for your statement. We just need to really use the last minutes to give short speeches because we have to finish this up by 6 o'clock. And I know we have 4 more speakers, and I would like if you could really make a short statement, tell us your name, where you come from, and a short statement about what makes Europe healthy again. Mr. Polykratis would be the next one. I'm sorry that we had to shorten this.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, Horauser, for hosting and for inviting us to participate. So that the pharmaceutical industry plans to extend the use of the mRNA technology to several applications over the years, mainly because it saves time and money, we cannot overlook one of its most critical drawbacks. I'm talking about immune response, where the body's defense systems and destroys any cell producing the antigen encoded by the mRNA. The global scientific community, policymakers, and the general public must understand that according to a core principle of immunology, any cell producing a viral or foreign protein is inevitably recognized as a threat by the immune system and killed. Because of this mechanism, since the beginning of the vaccination campaigns, I'm trying to warn the scientific community about the necessity of conducting extensive biodistribution evaluations. Such evaluations in humans have been totally bypassed. However, clear histopathological evidence from biopsies and autopsies shows that the vaccine-derived genetic material can enter systemic circulation and spread without control throughout the body. This includes the brain, where it can trigger the immune system to attack the body's own tissues, leading to serious adverse effects like myocarditis, a condition I was the first to hypothesize and describe in scientific literature. Given that I'm speaking here today, I feel compelled to mention that, based on the findings of the Pfizer study number 185350, the Comirnaty assessment report by the European Medicines Agency, dated February 19, 2021, states on page 47, I quote, over 48 hours biodistribution from the injection site to most tissues occurred. Therefore, the EMA was aware that rat distribution beyond the injection site occurred involving most tissues. Despite these alarming safety signals, millions of people around Europe, including pregnant women and infants, have been inoculated with these experimental products. And this happened also thanks to the silence of the vast majority of the scientific community. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Also, next speaker is Alberto Contri.
Thanks to the international relationships, our group of volunteers succeeded in getting the Italian government to reject the amendments to the WHO's international health regulations, the only European country to do so, despite pressure from the European Union. We believe that alongside the need to restore a true scientific debate and defend health, fundamental rights must be guaranteed, especially in freedom of speech and critical thinking. In recent years, censorship has impacted public debate, but also scientific debate, making it increasingly difficult to publish studies independent of mainstream influence. It is therefore important to promote a free, indexed scientific journal and European coordination to defend rights and freedom of speech against the constant pressure from the attacks by censorship and social control. Only together can we do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we have a short statement from Mexico, from former UN employee Gloria Garcia, please. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for having me. I did not have a speech ready, but I'm going to be very quick. After many years of struggling with mental health, I founded a company that and been researching for many, many years to create mental health, and that's how we're going to make Europe healthy again. All to attention mental health, and that's how we're going to make Europe healthy again, attacking mental health issues with natural ingredients.
Thank you so much. So we have one very last speaker, Sandro Sanvenero. Okay.
We had a very last minute to be a speaker, so we cannot do this anymore.
Yes, we had a very last minute to be announced to be a speaker, so we cannot do this anymore because the interpreters leave their booth, so we only can continue in English maximum. The thing is, if you're not prepared yet, Mr. Contri, there would be like 2 statements. We were asked for a last minute statement by Hungarian lawyer. You first, and then Hungarian lawyer Mihalik. Mr. Contri, please.
Yes, maybe a 30-second statement.
Okay. So, may I speak in Italian or I have to speak in English?
Yes, maybe a 30-second statement because we really have to finish up.
So
Thank you.
Very quickly, so I use Italian. Sono stato per 26 anni nella dirigenza dell'Ordine dei Medici, sia provinciale che nazionale e internazionale. Sono stato l'unico presidente che si è rifiutato di sospendere i sanitari renitenti all'obbligo vaccinale imposto in Italia, per cui dirò poche parole sull'etica, inquadrandola in un quadro generale. Da sempre il potere, quello vero, ha avuto la necessità di un principio ispiratore. In principio era la religione, se non credevi non facevi il re, non il medico. Da adesso è diventato l'ambiente, la salute, il One Health. E poiché i medici ne sono i gran sacerdoti, la chiave di volta che regge lo stesso principio ispiratore, ecco la necessità di bloccarli in procedure, protocolli, ovviamente scritti da qualcun altro, facendoli diventare dei banali burocrati pronti ad essere sostituiti dalla stupidità computazionale, erroneamente definita intelligenza artificiale. Tutta necessità per avere un'Europa healthy again di impegnarsi affinché venga da una parte preservata il consenso informato del paziente e l'autonomia e l'indipendenza nella responsabilità dello svolgimento della professione e dall'altra contrastare i conflitti di interesse, specialmente in ambito formativo, e le porte girevoli tra controllati
Mr. Contri, I just have to announce that the interpreters had to finish, and so maybe short English. Yes, finish.
So we have to come back to the basilar principle of medicine, the ethics.
Yes, thank you so much. Absolutely. Hello. So for everybody at home, the live stream now is still ongoing on gomiha.com and also provided at Mr. Hauser's YouTube channel. The live stream bei MEP Gerald Hausers Livestream ist jetzt wahrscheinlich nur mehr auf Englisch zu hören, aber wir haben noch 2 finale Statements und dann werde ich noch das Wort an den Gerald Hauser geben. Also ein herzliches Entschuldigung an die Zuseher im Livestream auf Deutsch. Wir werden den Rest der Konferenz noch in Englisch abschließen und noch ein Statement von der ungarischen Rechtsanwältin Angelika Mihalik, bitte. So.
I'm
Angelika Mihalik from Hungary. I'm a Hungarian attorney representing more than 600 severely injured children across Hungary. These children, ranging from infants to 12 years old, suffer from serious conditions such as epilepsy, autism, cancer, autoimmune diseases, etc., and all medically linked to adverse reactions following mandatory vaccination. Hungary imposes one of the world's most aggressive mandatory vaccination schedule, nearly 50 vaccines before age 12, without any meaningful medical exemption mechanism. Over the past 3 years, out of hundreds of documented medical contraindications, the authorities have granted only one exemption, despite life-threatening risk in many cases. Parents who refuse further vaccinations for their injured children face fines ranging from $550 to $100 USD, and it can repeated over and over again. And in some cases, child removal by welfare authorities for forced vaccinations. Doctors fear disciplinary action if they report adverse events, and the media remains silent. We are four attorneys willing to defend these families face continuous disciplinary threats and harassment for our work. This is our story.
Thank you for the